Hi, welcome back to Stay Off My Lawn, segment 2. And as promised, we do have a special guest. Richard, you want to introduce our guest?
Yes, we have Cory Rimes with us in the studio today as our special guest from Alberta, Canada. Yes, folks, you've probably heard of that province by now. If you haven't, you need to move that rock you're living under. Um, he is the
Google
CEO.
Danielle Smith. That's what you need to do.
Yeah,
You'll get a
that's right.
better.
Premier Daniel Smith is up. She is on fire. Love that lady. He's the CEO of Wolverine Mountain Media and does a fantastic job with all the social media needs for your company and a lot of small businesses that just don't have the time to do it. He'll make you a winning proposition. He's also CEO and founder of VO Academy for voiceover training. That's how he and I have met. Corey's is also a fantastic voiceover artist in his own rights. And not to mention, he's a very good friend of mine, much to his chagrin. Yes, I do own him as a friend. So,
None of us admit that in public. So, I mean, this is just, this is
yeah,
us for our four
well,
listeners.
it's in recording now, so I guess I have to own it. So, welcome to the Stay Off My Lawn podcast. Happy to have you here.
This is awesome. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. That was a really cool introduction, Richard. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's not
Uh,
scripted at all. I think
Yeah.
I can't remember things. I'm getting older, so if I don't type it out, it
well,
ain't happening.
That's right.
same way.
Yeah. Well, I've been looking forward to sitting in our rocking chairs here on the porch and just chatting away and
Yeah,
complaining about the world.
careful. I didn't mean to give you the dull knife for whittling, but
This,
just
your chair leg's resting in my foot and it hurts mighty painful. Uh, sorry. Why didn't you
uh,
tell me? Well, I told you last night. I guess you reckon you didn't hear me. Go ahead. Sorry.
uh, so let's start out,
Mm,
Corey.
yeah.
What is the latest? There's stuff that's happening, and the next thing I
Oh
look up
yeah.
and go, but yesterday, what?
Yeah. Yeah. It's I mean, like anywhere else in the world, fellas, it's crazy. And we see more of what's happening here in North America, obviously, right? And your friendly neighbors up above you there is we're running through a series of craziness. Well, we have been for the past 10 years. And now we've gotten to a point here after the election where they were like, we had a really good turnout of voters. We had the highest record amount of voters for the Conservative Party, which was amazing. Pierre Poilievre did an amazing job. Sorry, guys, you might hear my dog barking here. But yeah, he did an amazing job to get the voters in and do things, but unfortunately, we still fell short, which was very, very disappointing. This is the first time in my history of voting where I actually was very, very sad to see the outcome of the election. And I think I felt that way because we'd been fighting so hard since the pandemic, and the changes within the Conservative Party as well. I mean, many people go back to how the Conservatives used to be. There was a lot of corruption. There was a lot of issues, as there is with any government
Sure.
that comes into play, right? But Pierre, in my belief, I think he did a really good job at changing things and wanting to really make Canada what it should have been all along, and even better than what it was previously. He had a really good mindset of where it wanted to go. Unfortunately, that didn't turn out. He didn't get elected, and we have this amazing man named Mark Carney, who isn't even a Canadian.
Oh,
Yeah, he
really?
was
I
born
didn't know
here.
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's been living in the States for the past 10 years, and he was over in the UK as well. He actually, we had members of parliament in the UK who actually were telling Canadians, do not bring this guy in. He's going to destroy your country.
Yeah, he was a consultant or something
Yep,
over in Britain. And it's like,
yep.
if you got somebody who's consulting and you see how Great Britain is just an absolute abject mess right now,
Oh, totally. Just a
based
complete
upon
mess.
he's in the back
Yep,
pocket of the WEF,
yep.
World Economic Forum, and who is getting a lot smaller because
Yeah,
they've been
very much.
defunded. Oh, gee, isn't that too bad?
My heart,
Oh,
she
shucks.
bleed. Yeah.
Yeah, my heart, she bleeds indeed. Yeah. So yeah, we got this amazing man, Mark Carney, into the seat there now, and it was such a weird time, and there's so many loopholes within our Canadian legislation that allow things like this to happen. I mean, one, he hadn't been a Canadian citizen for years. Two, he wasn't even an elected official. He was brought in by the Liberal Party themselves to be put into place. He was a consultant as well, advisor, economic advisor for Trudeau.
Hmm.
And so they just basically put him into power, and he's writing all this stuff saying, "Well, I'm gonna get rid of the carbon tax and all this kind of stuff." And it's like, well, one, you can't do anything like that because it has to be voted in Parliament, and Parliament's been shut down since November of last year.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so it's been a really weird time here, and so like our premier here in Alberta, she's absolutely amazing, and it's so funny because even in Alberta, you have such a divide between NDP and conservatives here. And so there's such a battle with that. But I mean, we had NDP for the first time in our history here in Alberta for 4 years.
I'm
And
going to stop so that people
yeah,
can catch up. What the NDP is the New Democratic Party?
correct. Yes. Yeah. They're basically, they believe in a lot of the socialist aspects of things. Um, they're like a more socialist version of the Liberal Party that we have.
Oh boy.
Oh,
Um,
gee, like you need that.
yeah, and I mean it was interesting because the for the conservatives here in Alberta, they'd been in power for over 40 years. And when Danielle Smith, so we have Canada's interesting because we have tons of different parties, and so at one time we had Danielle Smith, who was part of what they called the Wild Rose Party, which is our national or our provincial flower that we have. And there was a lot of corruption there between Wild Rose and Reform, and so she ended up walking the floor to go over to the other side. And I was quite pissed about that. I didn't agree with her doing that.
Hmm.
And then so that's when you saw Alberta say, okay, well, you know what? The Conservative Party needs to completely revamp things. And so the NDP got in, and we're like, okay, well, it's only 4 years. Holy crap, they did a lot of damage in 4 years. And it's so interesting that people just don't remember that. But I mean, we've had a lot of damage for the past 10 years with the Liberal Party.
Oh Lord,
And
yes.
within 2, 3 months, it's like everybody forgot about what they did. And you're like, what happened? What's going
And
on here? So it's just,
the media
it's,
kind of is complicit with that, with the NDP, just like the
yeah,
Democratic Party here. It's the same way. Everybody
yeah.
forgets the damage that Biden did for 4 years.
Yeah, well, the
Okay.
media here, the mainstream media here is actually paid for by the government, the Liberal government.
Yeah. Mhm.
So CBC and then other media streams as well. They have endorsements or whatever from the federal government, and so and I think that's completely illegal, and that should not be allowed. And that was one thing Pierre wanted to do when he came in, was to be like, I'm going to defund the CBC. They spend millions upon millions of dollars funding the CBC, Canadian Broadcast, and it's there's no reason for it.
Yeah.
Every other news media outlet, they focus on getting their own money revenue generating in,
Absolutely.
right? Whether it's based off of commercials or whatever the case may be, right? And that's the way that they should be as well. But these people are unreal. So that was another big kind of nail in the coffin for Pierre, because he was talking about defunding them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
well, the media doesn't like that.
no, no,
Trump just defunded PBS and
I
NPR,
heard that.
National
Yes,
Public
yeah, yeah.
Radio and Public Broadcasting. They were spending $500,000 a year to have them be saying crappy stuff and just,
Hmm.
you know, just like, well, like your new stuff that
Yeah,
you're talking about. It's wait a minute, you can't. We're giving you money to say bad things about
yeah,
what?
yeah. And then all these bills that are being passed too, and it's like, a censorship and everything like that. It's like, what's going on here? Why are we becoming that kind of country, right? Like, it shouldn't be that way. And so that's what I really like about uh, our premier that we have, Danielle Smith, now, because the Conservative Party actually reformed everything. They restructured, and it's a lot of different conservative parties that are actually joined into the United Conservative Party of Alberta. And so Danielle runs that whole thing, but she's got a constant battle, not just with the NDP groups and the very, very small group of liberals that we have, and but she's got a lot of issues in her party as well, with people feeling maybe she's not liberal enough, too liberal, whatever the case may be. And this is the main thing, guys, is no matter who's in power, you're never ever going to make anybody, like everybody, happy. It's just
Of course
it's
not.
absolutely
No,
impossible to do that,
no,
right?
End
nobody's
of the day,
perfect.
Yeah.
No, no. But what I like about Danielle is that been the only premier who's fighting for the province. And we've not seen that here since I don't know if you guys ever remember Ralph Klein. He was one of our, he was, so he was a premier of ours, real ass. Like he was, I don't know if I could say that on your guys, but
Ow,
he was,
ow. Oh,
yeah,
gee, come on.
that's right. Might
You
have to
just
bleep
did. You're
that out.
good.
Yeah, I just did that.
Don't worry about
But
it.
he was a very much a cowboy. And if you didn't like his policies and his demeanor and his mannerism, he could give a crap. Didn't
Yeah.
matter to him, right? However, we were the only province that actually became a completely debt-free province in the entire country because of his actions. And yes, he slashed and cut and did a whole bunch of things that probably wasn't good, but on the grand scheme of things, in the future aspect, we actually had money in our province that we hadn't had for years, right? So since that time, we haven't had really been anybody in power to help us out with that until Danielle came in. And now she's the only one who's going down to the States, meeting with Trump, meeting with other senators and statespeople to talk about what it is that Alberta can actually provide to America and to other areas of the world as well. I mean, the federal government chopped away, they basically slapped away the Japanese and the Germans. Because both those countries came over to us asking for our natural gas. And the federal government was like, no. And so where did they go? Well, they went over to other places like Russia
Russia.
and
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia and all that, where they're getting oil that is being produced by dictatorships, right? It's ridiculous. We
And it's
have,
dirty oil too. It's
oh
really
yeah,
not.
yeah,
Yeah.
and this is the thing, and people always say, well, Alberta, we're a dirty province and we have dirty oil. You guys don't understand the type of technology that we have here. The technology that we have here is world class. We make the best product to be able to provide to markets, the most clean burning product to be able to provide to markets. And yet we're looked down upon. The media paints us as being this evil group of people over
Well,
this
when you've
province.
got the media that's is being subsidized by
Yeah,
the government
absolutely.
says, say this about them.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah,
Pretty much
exactly.
what they say, truth or otherwise.
Yeah. And that's it's infuriating to me because out west here, there has always been a divide. Even when I was young, I didn't see it as bad as what I do now. But when Trudeau's dad was in power, it was pretty bad during that time as well. Not to this extent, because Trudeau has just completely decimated our country and put us
Yeah.
into debt that we're not going to be able to pay for the next 40 to 50 years, right?
Yeah.
But the separation that we have here within our country is very, very interesting because you have the mass majority of people live over in Ontario and Quebec. And those are the votes and the seats that matter within our parliamentary type
Mm.
structure. So out west here, no matter how we vote, we can be all conservative,
Yeah.
which realistically many of us are. But it doesn't matter
Yeah.
because we don't have enough seats to actually make an impact over there. So that's a very, very frustrating thing for us. No matter what we say or do, it doesn't matter. And then on top of that, they have it's called this equalization payments, meaning the
Oh,
have provinces will share with the not have provinces,
Yeah.
which is mind blowing to me because you have Quebec and Ontario, two of the biggest provinces in the entire country, and their industry is going pretty good, but yet they take the majority of what we actually send over to them. And
I
it's in
think
the,
from the deal that I saw, Quebec was the worst, which
yeah,
they want to leave now too. Bye
well, they've
bye.
been wanting to leave forever,
Let them
since I
go
was a
because they
kid.
can't make it on their own.
Well, this is the thing. And I'd have to look to make sure that there's facts to this. I don't know if it's just kind of hearsay, but I thought it was kind of funny, so I'll share it. I think they had reached out. Yeah.
No, sorry, we got 1 minute
Oh,
to go. That's
oh,
all.
do we? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, just keep going. Anyhow,
Yeah. 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 So it was funny because Quebec had said that they wanted to have Paris or France actually take them over so they can become an actual French country. And over in France, they're like, yeah, no,
I
you
did.
don't
I've
actually
heard
speak
that too.
French. Yeah.
I've
Yeah. So
heard that.
again, I don't know if there's truth to that, but it made me laugh. It made me really laugh. But yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
because they're not making it on their own. And France went, yeah, we're not subsidizing you.
You're going to be
well,
a
this is,
liability for us. I mean,
well,
Yeah.
that's, yeah. And I mean, they literally were like, they set up a deal with the Ontario or the federal government itself. to be their own sovereignty, have their basically it's somewhat of their own country, so they keep all their history and everything that, which I agree with. That's good, but they want to claim independence, but yet they want everything that Canada has to offer. And our federal government's like, okay, because they have the most votes. But I don't understand. Like, to me, it's frustrating to see the Bloc Québécois, which is the party leader over there. Why do they have a say in what our government does? Why are they allowed to come to our debates when we're doing federal elections, when they'll never ever be a federally elected member of parliament? They won't ever run the country. All they care about is Quebec. That's it. Why are they part of this?
Yeah.
You
Because they
know,
have a lot of liberal votes.
that's just it. And there's always a coalition there that they have, right?
Yep.
So it's we need some changes, and that's where Danielle Smith, I think, is she's laid out the law of this is what needs to happen, this is what needs to change, and if the federal government is not willing to do that, Alberta's going to move on our own, and we're going to do our own thing. And I agree with that. And there's a lot of people that, oh my gosh, well, you're a traitor to your country. No, I'm not a traitor. I love Canada. I want to be part of Canada. I want to stay part of Canada. But
Now,
if we, yeah, go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead. Federally, do you and like for here for national elections, like for president, we have an electoral college every
Mm,
state, and it's supposed to help distribute some of those votes because California and New York,
hmm.
basically, if those two got their heads together, none of us would matter, and it
Yeah.
wouldn't. And so, like the state of Georgia, I think has like 16 votes, and
Right.
so it is everything in Canada. Is that all? Yeah, you have four. But is everything in Canada is all popular vote, or do you have a similar type election system?
Nothing like that. No, no, we don't have that type of system, and that's why our system fails in many ways, right?
Yeah. Because
Would
it's
Because
we
all
it's,
do that,
just the
or if
big
we didn't have
cities that
that?
are
yeah,
where the population centers are back east.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's Ontario and Quebec where the majority of the votes come from, and yeah, it's when you have the popular vote based on mainstream media pushing the narrative. It's very interesting to see what we see out west here compared to what I have friends in the east that what they see and what their viewpoints are on everything, right? So, but yeah, yeah.
Hey, let's take a quick break. When
Mm,
we come back, I still want to talk a little bit more about your national elections. Pierre Poilievre, I think that he's still got a big future. I want to ask you about that too.
sure, yeah.
So hang in there. We'll be right back.
St. Jude founder Danny Thomas once said, "There is no kinder act than helping someone less fortunate than yourself." Your kindness and dedication in the generous giving you do is essential to help further the life-saving mission of St. Jude, finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital has been around since 1962, and in all that time, no child has ever been denied treatment based on race, religion, or their family's ability to pay. To learn more and do your part, visit stjude.org.
Welcome back to Stay Off My Lawn, segment 3. We are still with Cory Rimes and talking about Canadian politics and as well as other things. During the break, we were talking about just about everything. And we need to open a Buc-ee's in Canada. Anybody in Texas
Yeah.
doing this?
Well, I'm
We need
surprised we don't have that. I mean, it's like our Canadian mascot is a freaking beaver. Why do we not have
See?
Buc-ee's up here, right? So,
it's
yeah.
a perfect match. That's a
yeah,
match.
it would be. Yeah.
I hadn't thought of that. And we're talking to someone from Canada.
Yeah,
I definitely need to get more into this second cup of coffee. Is
Start swilling it.
hello, coffee.
I feel my teeth staining already. Anyway, Danielle Smith is the premier of Alberta, and absolutely just love her. And there's a lot of
Yeah.
great conservatives out there that are so outspoken now, and I really think Trump has kind of helped spur that on. You got the guy Javier Milei from Argentina, you've got Giorgia Meloni from Italy, you've got a lot of these people. Now, you made a post the other day, and I was
Mhm.
thinking about this after you posted it, and I was just curious. It was a map of the Republic of Western Canada, the
Yes.
four provinces of Western Canada. So I looked at the politics of those provinces, and two of them are still run by the NDP,
Correct.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, would they be on board with something like that you
Maybe
think?
eventually. I don't know. I mean, when we look at so British Columbia is pretty heavy with the New Democratic Party, more so down in the Vancouver area.
Yeah, it's
Um,
pretty much a little bit along the coast. It's a little
yeah,
pocket, but that's
yeah,
where the population is. And then once you
yeah,
get into what you folks call the interior,
yep, yeah. The
which I
interior
learned
and
from our
north of
friend
that.
Mo. She goes,
That's
"Yes, we've
right.
moved to the interior." What do you mean interior? What's the Oh, the other side of the mountains that okay,
Yes.
I got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like in your
Yeah.
The
car?
good side of the mountains. The good side of the mountains. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like Oregon and Washington. It would be going the interior, going over the Cascades, same type
Right.
of thing, where everybody on the interior side of the
hmm
Cascades in Oregon and Washington are all conservative. So
Yeah.
it's a whole different demographic. The people are different.
Yep.
The cities are still
It's got to
clean
be
because
drier air, maybe. I mean, it just
Well, it is. Yeah, very much so. Yeah, and it's my brother and his family moved to northern BC in a little mining town called Tumbler Ridge, and he said they love it out there because it's basically like living in Alberta. It's the same thing, right? The people think the same way. Everything that they do for industry is the same as what we do here in Alberta as well. So you could see that map kind of cutting a bit of the province over. Now, will that ever happen? Probably not,
yeah.
in reality, right? But it's one, it's interesting to think about it. In my perspective, anyways, it's interesting to think about it. You know, what could potentially happen, and how prosperous the four provinces, as well as the Yukon and the territories as well, if they decide to ever join, how prosperous we could all be as our own country compared to the theft and corruption and constant draining of our finances from the federal government over in the east, right? So
With your natural resources, it seems like you'd be so, prosperous. I mean,
very much so. We're losing trillions of dollars a year, trillions.
yeah,
So
and then they stopped all that stuff, and then
yep,
our last 4-year trial of pulling someone out of the home and putting him in office just didn't work.
yeah, yeah.
one
I felt
star,
bad
not
for him.
recommended.
I did. I felt bad for him because it just wasn't. You knew as soon as he was in, it's like something's not right here, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was
No,
like
he's
a
sharp as a tack. No, he's
yeah.
not even as sharp as the flat side of a roofing nail. Give me a
No,
break.
that's a very grandpa thing to say.
I know. But you can picture it. That's exactly right,
You
though.
can.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah.
But
Oh,
he's always been a jerk, though. He's always been very full
oh,
of himself, and we
yes.
talked about that off the air, and how that's one of those things that gets under my skin very quickly. But
Yeah.
he's always just been kind of a jerk, and now when he's losing his mind and losing
Yeah.
his marbles over things, it's like you want to feel sorry for him, but at the same
Yeah.
time, it's just the jerk diminished. I
Right.
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I don't
Very
know.
interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
glad.
you were talking about the eastern part, and you get into Ottawa, the capital, all that kind of stuff that goes on there.
Yep.
Recently, the RCMP, and for those who
hmm
aren't familiar with that, it's the Royal Canadian Mounted Police,
Correct. Yep.
exposed 9 traitors in the Mark Carney government. What?
hmm
You only found 9?
we
Seriously? Yeah,
had we
sure. There's
had
not more.
we had a senator who stood up in the House of Commons, and it took him 15 minutes to read off all the laws that had been broken by the Trudeau government,
Oh my God.
and the
Jesus.
members of Parliament who had actually been pointed out as being fraudulent or just doing illegal activities that they shouldn't have been
Treasonous
doing.
is a word that comes to mind.
Treasonous is a word. Yeah, yeah. It's really interesting that we had Mark Carney didn't do anything about a guy who actually was a member of parliament. He was from China, and he actually put out a thread on a Chinese social media platform stating that he wanted to have another Canadian member of parliament put a hit out on him, basically, right?
Oh boy.
And so the reporters had asked Carney, what are you going to do about this? And he's like, well, nothing. He's already apologized. Excuse me? He's apologized. That's it.
What
You
about the
gotta,
illegality of it,
Right? Yeah.
yes.
And so this guy had enough heat from the public that he ended up stepping down. But still, that's you go and you arrest a grandma for what she said on social media, but then some member of parliament says this. about another Canadian citizen, and you're like, nah, he's good because he apologized. Are you freaking kidding me?
I'm
Yeah, right.
sorry that I
So,
paid a lot of money to try to get you killed. I
yeah,
probably shouldn't have done that.
probably shouldn't have done that. Exactly. No, it's just
Really?
silliness like that. I mean, they get away with so many things, and it's always interesting with the RCMP because they're like, oh, well, we're putting the Liberal Party under investigation. Yeah, yeah, whatever, right? Like nothing's ever going to come from it,
Well, like
and
Bernie
it'll be,
Sanders says, it's an oligarchy.
yeah, yeah,
That's
oligarchy.
that's
That's right.
exactly what it
Yeah.
is.
You gotta
Totally.
come
Yeah,
out
yeah.
here. We're gonna get this stuff going because, the oligarchy's gonna take over.
Gosh, he's only
And
100.
they have
You
found that,
gotta give him a break.
yes, him and AOC going out doing that stuff is people go, Allah who? What is that a Muslim thing? The Allah, what is it?
Yeah,
Nobody
But
yeah.
knows what it is. They don't take the time. If only there was, some sort of a device that you could look stuff up on.
That's
they're
right.
preaching
I
to
don't
these
know. It's
people
a
who
mystery to me.
still
Yeah.
live in their parents' basement. They don't. All they're doing is playing Xbox, and they don't educate themselves. They have no idea.
No, no, exactly,
Oh.
exactly. So no, it's always the world is an interesting place right now, my friend, isn't it? Yes, yeah.
Well, interesting me.
We have talked many times about Pierre Polyev, and
Mm,
we've actually played lots of his clips and everything. And I
yep.
think he's a wonderful guy.
Yes.
He's got such great speaking ability. First of all, I
Yep.
love his voice. Man, I would
Yeah.
do anything for his voice.
Yeah.
But he's got such a good grasp of common sense.
Yep.
I don't understand why people didn't he wasn't attracting more voters than he did. But
Yeah.
what do you think is next for him? Because he's not even in parliament anymore, right? I mean,
He
everything.
actually is. He
He
will
is.
be. So they have. So he. It was really interesting because he had a riding in Ontario that he had been the MP for like 2 decades or something like that. But that riding had something like, I want to say, I'm going to get this wrong. There was a lot of other potential MPs that
Yeah.
were trying to be elected into that riding, and so it was basically a way for to be able to push him out.
Oh,
And so, yes, he did lose his seat, but we have a member of parliament out here in Alberta, and that's originally where Pierre is from. He's from Calgary. I mean, he was born. His mom was a 16-year-old mom. Gave him up for adoption. His parents were high school teachers. His parents divorced. His dad is gay, and so he supports a gay community and all that kind of stuff too. So there's lots of things from the East that they say, oh, he's against gay rights. He's against this. He's all this, and we're like, no,
Apparently
he's
not.
not.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so, but anyways, the MP out here, and it's a small rural community, stepped down to give him his seat,
Oh
which is
wow.
absolutely amazing. I've never ever heard that before.
It's self-sacrificial. You
Yeah,
don't
very
hear
much
anything
so.
like that. Yeah.
Very much so. So, which was really funny because, like, of course, the Liberal Party is blowing their lids about this, being like,
oh,
I
I would
can't.
imagine
Yeah,
because they were
oh,
all just like, he
yeah,
doesn't even have a seat in the what? Wait, what? You guys, what happened?
yeah. Well, this is the interesting thing with that, right? This guy literally was like, no, I believe in what Pierre is doing. He needs to have a seat. I'm stepping down so he can move in here. That's wonderful, right?
Yeah.
The interesting thing about this, guys, so we talked a little bit about Carney. Carney never had a seat. He was never voted into the riding itself, right? Other than by the Liberal Party, which I guess rules the universe.
Yeah.
And he wanted to get into, get his seat here in Edmonton, which is the capital of Alberta. Um, Turns out he decided not to go that route because I don't think Albertans like him all that much, anyways. And he ended up getting a riding in Nipawin, I think it is, over in Ontario. The lady who'd been there had been there for years and years and years, was a stout liberal supporter. And they didn't even ask her, they just pushed her right out. But you're not
Really?
hearing about that stuff on the media,
No, you certainly don't.
right? But
That's okay
it's
to do
amazing.
if you're a liberal, though, right?
I guess, right? And that's just it. And I think that's why the people out west have been so pissed off for so many years with this, because it's like, okay, well, you guys expect us to follow the rules of the law, but yet you guys have a different set of rules that's okay for you guys to break and deal with, and then we just have to deal with the fallout of it and just accept it. Well, no, we're not accepting it anymore. And Danielle Smith is like, we're absolutely not accepting that anymore. We've been, you know, excuse the phrase here, but raped and pillaged long enough.
Yeah.
The West has been nothing but supportive to the rest of the country to be able to provide the resources and money that they so desperately needed, and blow away. And then they have no respect or support for what it is that we provide. How do you think you guys get that money?
Yeah,
Right? It's
it
through
just
oil and gas. It's through
well,
our industry. It's
Sure.
through our
the groceries are
resources.
just in the store. So if
Yeah.
you want some
Yeah.
meat, I don't know why you people are out there killing
Killing
animals. We just
animals.
go
Yeah.
to the store and get it.
Yeah. It's completely
Same thing.
ludicrous. And that's where I was very frustrated with the whole federal election because, again, like you said, Mike, the common sense aspect, we
Yeah.
still don't have enough yet,
Yeah.
you know,
It's just crazy.
and it's very frustrating. It is very frustrating. So, Danielle Smith is a very proud supporter of Pierre as well. We're very happy to be getting Pierre here in Alberta. To be another representative to represent our province as well, alongside Danielle Smith, right? So it's going to be interesting over the next few months to see where things go.
I was reading about this thing called Bill 54.
Mm.
It, can that maybe help make you a little bit more autonomous when you're dealing with Ottawa? Just try to kind of get rid of all that. Tell us exactly what Bill 54 is if you're familiar.
I know of Bill 54. I don't know all the details of it. I'd have to go
Okay.
through and actually check that out myself. I mean, there's so many bills that they've had that have gone through the Ottawa, to be pushed forward that a lot of the Canadians are like, well, what bill is this? Bill 69, Bill 54, right? And so until you start actually doing your own research and digging into that more. So maybe if you know of it there, Mike, just refresh my memory if you know
Yeah,
the
the
details.
one thing that I read was that it's I think it's just for Alberta, and
Okay.
it makes the getting a referendum easier.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Yep.
Getting 600,000 signatures in
Yep.
90 days, which is what it used to be,
Yep.
it made it almost impossible. Now it's only 10% of the last election's voters over
Yes.
120 days need to make the signatures.
Yep.
So,
And
Yep.
you guys
Big,
have
big
made
change.
the signatures
Oh, yeah.
plus. You're
Yeah. We
way beyond making
Within the
signatures.
first 2 days, I think we actually made the quota, right?
Yeah,
So,
I was
um,
blown away.
yeah, it's the fastest we've ever any petition has ever been signed by the country. And I mean, we're getting people who don't even live in this province who are like, "Yep, I support this," right? And
beautiful.
wanting to sign that, right? Which is great. I mean, we house and thanks for jogging my memory on that too. We house a lot of different provinces. People come to our province to work here
Mm,
because we have in total we have I think it's just a little over 4 million people that actually live in Alberta.
yeah,
And so we don't have, even though we have tons of industry and all that, we don't have enough people to be able to do the whole workforce that we need. So a lot of people from BC, Ontario, Nova Scotia, Quebec, they all fly in. They all take part in building up our economy. So it gets a little frustrating when people are like, they don't see that the value that we do provide, not just to ourselves here in Alberta, but we provide you with a level of employment that whether you spend it here or you spend it back in your own province, you're still making a hell of a good wage, right? Better
sure.
than you ever would in your own province. So
Yeah, we
show a
had a
little
similar
respect,
thing.
you know?
We had a similar thing in North Dakota some years ago. If you remember, Richard, we had
Yeah.
bunches of people. I think it was on working the oil fields up there, where people would come in, make tons and tons of money, work six
Yep.
months, and go back home another
Yep.
6 months.
Yep.
So I mean, yeah, well, the energy sector is just flush with cash.
It is,
Yeah.
and it's it's a lot different than what it used to be. Can it get better? Of course, everything can get better,
Of course,
right? The energy can be cleaner. There's more technology that can be put into it. The safety aspect of things have increased substantially compared to what it used to be back in the day. I mean,
sure.
when I worked on the rigs in '97, I had nothing for safety training, which blows me away to this day. Like, I had no idea what H2S was, hydrogen sulfide gas, which will kill you in a second. No idea. And we were doing all these sour well drilling. And,
Oy.
my orientation that I had on the rig was, okay, this is the Kelly hose. This is the V door. This is the main floor itself. This is the dog house. Here's your mop bucket and scrub, go to work. And make sure you don't stick your hands there. Right. And that was it.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was my whole orientation. Right. So I had no idea what I was doing. So things have definitely changed. They have schools for rig workers now who go out and actually understand how to do things. You have all this different types of certification to be able to help people know the risks, but also know the safety measures that are put in place. So there's a lot of stuff that has changed throughout the years that are just making the environment better in many cases, and in some cases, putting more bureaucracy in place, which can be frustrating as well, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of
Yeah,
those
Well,
things.
I was explaining Alberta to the wife. I said, well, if they, and I think it sounds more like you got folks want to be independent and not part
Hmm.
of the U.S. It's one of those things. I said, it's kind of like Texas North. They've got
Very much
all
so.
the
Yeah.
oil, everything. I said that
Yeah.
that's where their wealth is. If somebody would let them get at it, there
Yep.
would be even more wealth.
That's just it. And it's been really interesting seeing this whole thing because the question is, well, you guys just want to separate. Well, no, that's not the case. We want to have our independence from the federal government. We want to be able to put our people to work. We want to be able to have one of the most prosperous provinces in the entire country. We want to be able to provide resources and support to other countries as well that we know that we can do on a free trade aspect. And did you guys know Alberta was actually originally founded by Americans? I don't know if you
no.
guys knew this. A lot
I
of
heard
Americans
something
went out
about
there.
that the
Yeah.
other day. Now that you
Yeah.
bring that up, yeah, because I mean, with my father being born there and my
Yep.
grandparents spending 15 years up there, I have a soft spot for Alberta
Sure.
and for Canada, and so I kind of keep up on some of it, and I'm getting more guys that I'm following now
Yeah.
that are
Yeah.
telling me about Canada, and yeah, that came out. And somebody mentioned it, and I went, "Say what?"
Well, this is why we have the same type of mindset in regards to, our freedoms, freedom of speech, freedom of how we want to live our own life, freedom of religion, freedom of everything. This is the mindset that Alberta has had, and a lot of that came from the ideology from the American settlers who came over into Canada and made that their place to live and get their homesteads and start creating a life here in Canada and building up Alberta. So that's why I think we definitely collaborate very well with our American brothers and sisters and for many aspects of things, right? So I love Canada. I really love Alberta. I think I'm in the best province in the country, to be quite honest. I love America and my American friends as well. Do I necessarily want to be an American? Well, that'd be like, Canadians coming into America and saying, hey, you're going to be one of our provinces now, or 10 of our provinces, right? It doesn't make sense. I understand for a
I think
Canadian aspect.
I think
Uh,
Trump just likes to tweak people,
Oh,
and
he's poking the bear. That's all,
Oh,
right?
he
And yeah,
loves, and when he does it,
of
there's
course,
if you look at him, there's a little smirk and a
of
twinkle in his
course.
eye. He loves just keep poking that bear.
Well, let's give Trump the credit that's due for him. He's a showman, right?
hmm
Yeah.
He's always been a showman. When he gets a hold of something where it's like, oh, this actually caused a stir. Ooh, I'm excited for this. Let's do
Yeah.
this, right? And he does it, and he does it very, very well, and he has throughout his entire career, whether it's been in real estate or investments or in the political landscape of things, right? He knows how to push people's buttons.
Yep.
And as a Canadian sitting back, many times you see him do this stuff, and I'm just like, I laugh because I'm like, oh my gosh, he's just pissing people off because he knows he can,
And he's
and
having fun doing it.
that's
He
just
is
it.
having,
Love it
That's
so
I
much.
think,
yeah,
more fun this time than last time around because he's not having to worry about trying to, oh, I can't offend too many because I got to, there's
yeah.
no reelection. And
It's
he
a
loves
different time
going,
for him. Yeah,
there might be a third one. We're looking into it. And he
yeah,
knows damn good and well there's not going to be a third one. But
yeah.
boy, the lefties just go ape nuts when he does that.
It's interesting to see him in this time because I find that he's a lot more relaxed than what he was last
Yes.
time.
Oh,
Last time I
really?
Yes.
think he had a lot of people that were supposed to be there to advise him and support him, and I think they were giving him a lot of misinformation on stuff. And I hate that word, but it's the reality.
But he
Yeah.
did. He surrounded himself with the wrong people,
He did, yeah. Where
and
this
now
time around it's different.
yeah, he was kind of thrown into the lion's den. He didn't
Yeah,
know the
yeah.
landscape. I think he said that he never even spent the night in Washington D.C. before
Oh,
he
yeah,
got inaugurated.
yeah.
I mean, it's very strange.
Well, I mean, his whole world, I mean, all he knew was New York and how the business world works. And you take somebody like that and throw him into a political, now he's heading the country.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
that's a little
yeah, and
different,
he
right?
hasn't
So,
been successful without figuring out, okay, how is this game played? How do we need to? Oh,
mhm.
okay, I've got it now.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting because I mean, we see a lot of stuff down in the States all the time and I love Robert F. Kennedy. I absolutely love that guy. I think he's brilliant. He's
Yes.
intelligent. He knows his stuff, and he's fighting for things that a lot of Americans, and not just Americans, but a lot of Canadians feel very close to as well. For me personally, it's the autism aspect of things. My son is autistic, and the fact that he's fighting for, why do we have such an increase in autistic kids? Why?
Because it's
We
only
never
been the
had that
last
before.
50 years. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
so I
it's
mean,
been crazy.
and who knows whether it's the vaccines or not. I mean, maybe it
Yeah,
is, maybe it
yeah.
isn't, but it does seem to correlate. I mean, it may not be causation, but there,
Hmm.
everybody, everything kind of lines up to make it look that way. But
In many
it's
aspects, and it's
refreshing to
it's
see somebody look at it.
it is, and that's just it. And he's asking the questions
Yeah.
and pointing out factual information, right?
Yeah.
Not just from Fauci,
Yeah.
saying that
Yeah.
this
Doesn't
is
need
a
the
good idea.
pardon to get anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It
yeah,
it
exactly.
it doesn't seem that Big Pharma, brought to you by Pfizer, is really interested in supporting him at all.
That's weird. Yeah.
I, I don't know why they don't. Yeah.
Why would that happen? Yeah. So
No.
it's been interesting to see that, but it's funny because we have we have some friends in the States. Excuse me. It's almost like I've been talking too much. Um, we have some friends in the States who will continuously put up negative posts about RFK, about when it comes to the whole autism aspect. And I'm like, okay, I understand you want to have an opinion on this. However, you don't have any kids who are on the spectrum.
Sure.
You can't speak about this. You don't know what it is that we as families
Yep.
are dealing with, the hardships that we go through, the trials and tribulations, well, was it this or was it that, or and the guilt that you end up feeling as well, because there is a component of guilt, and there's a sadness that nobody will ever fully understand unless you've been in this position. The
Yeah.
sadness comes from you had an expectation of what your child's life was going to be like when they're, brand new, born into this world. And then all of a sudden, after 18 months or 2 years old, it changes. A light switch turns off. And it's like, what happened? He was meeting all the milestones. Everything was fine. Everything was good. What was going He was talking. And then all of a sudden, he's like a walking little zombie walking around in circles, not saying anything.
Yeah, it's
So
just sad what they're doing with all
And the
those
spectrum is so
childhood
wide.
stuff.
There's so
it's
many
so
different.
wide. Yeah. And there's so many, even within the autism community, there is different levels of agreements and disagreements on things, right? A lot of people will say, "Well, you just have to love them because they're this is their superpower." Okay, granted, that's a nice way to think about it, but again, come down to why did this actually happen? Now, was it vaccines? Maybe. In
Maybe.
some cases, it can be, right? Absolutely. A lot of it has to do with the gut health aspect of things. A lot of it has to do with the blood-brain barrier as well.
The foods, the
The
additives that we have,
foods, the
we just don't know.
additives. You guys have way more than we do. We're
Oh,
pretty strict
I
here
was
in
going to ask
Canada,
you
but
about that. We have
yeah,
lists of things that he's
it's
spoken about.
bonkers what you guys deal with down there. It really is. But it's, we deal with an aspect of that up here, not to the extent you guys have. I mean, that's what I love about going to the States, because you look at the cereal aisle and it's like, holy crap, this is like, it's amazing how much variety and choices you guys have. But a lot
And
of
it's
the
all
junk,
crap.
that's
Yeah.
just it. A lot of it is just filled with junk, right? So, but yeah, and so that does get frustrating when I see friends post talk about, well, RFK, he's doing a terror. He should never do this for autistic people. Hey, what does he know about autistic people? This guy's been fighting for the autism community for years,
Yes. Yes.
years and years and years.
Well,
You
Well,
know,
somebody said, "Wow, how many cigarettes did he have to smoke to get that voice?"
that's
Okay,
not true.
that
Yeah,
that's he got
yeah,
it from a vaccine
yep.
that he it
It was
was
a side effect.
paralyzed, and he's just barely have a voice that came back enough
Yep.
to communicate with. So
Yeah.
this, it's
8 years
some
old with a
liberal that
six
made
pack.
that
He's
smart
not
ass
really a
comment.
smoker. I mean,
Yeah,
Yes.
he's not
Yeah.
going.
Those
Have you seen him with his shirt
exactly.
off? Yeah, he's not a smoker.
Well, that's
certainly.
the funny thing is, like, you had was it the Minister of Health in the States there? They were showing the previous one from the Biden administration, and then they showed RFK, and I was like, oh, that's a big difference.
Yeah,
Just
got the he,
just
she,
a
and then the,
little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, it's a bit of a difference, right? So,
Oh
yeah,
my.
yeah, it's
but we were talking about my granddaughters earlier. It's like when because they were twins, so they were much
mm,
smaller, uh,
mm,
at the 10th percentile as far as size goes. When it came time for them the boosters to be given the boosters, and it's
yeah,
like, so my daughter-in-law and my son both are like, I don't know if this is a good idea or
mm,
not. and
No.
because they were so small, and it's like, and so they decided not to at this
Hmm.
point.
Good.
Um, but the problem is the way insurance runs here, they have to go to a special doctor that doesn't take insurance because insurance won't pay
Uh,
for anything if you don't go to the right doctor. I mean, it's all just such a big freaking scam, and it's
it's
like
yeah, it really is, and it's disheartening to see that you have to fight so hard for your health and for the health of your family members.
exactly, exactly.
Why? Why do we have to fight so hard for this? Because it's just a big money making machine,
But
right?
the thing is, humans have been on this planet for thousands of years,
Hmm.
and we've done just fine up until the last 100, maybe
Yeah.
75 years without these
Yeah.
vaccines. I mean, yeah, we probably have a longer lifespan now than we did
Yeah.
50, 100 years ago.
Yeah.
But at what cost?
Well, and it's don't get me wrong, I'm not against vaccines.
Me neither. Me neither.
I am against the chemicals and the additives and the other crap that they put into all these vaccines. When the three of us were vaccinated, I mean, when Richard was vaccinated, they maybe had like two
Eh?
things or something.
I think Teddy Roosevelt Melanie made it eligible too. Yeah.
That's right. Good old Teddy. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, the amount of chemical that is actually in these vaccines now. Why do we have to have all that? Why does a brand new baby have to be vaccinated for hepatitis?
Hepatitis
Why do
B.
they have to have
Rand,
72 vaccines now?
Right.
What the hell's up with that?
Rand
I
Paul
don't
actually talked
understand
about
that process. And so, like, even here in Canada, there is a scheduled amount of vaccinations that are required per se, right? But a lot of times when it comes to like my son, we'll go over to a naturopath doctor and talk about different strains of vaccines that we can kind of look at and see what's going to be beneficial for him. Because with autistic kiddos, their blood-brain barrier is very, very fragile and filled with inflammation. A lot of what they're dealing with has to do with inflammation. So if you go ahead and you put a vaccine that has tons of junk into it, their body will try and fight it. Their immune system is already compromised with it, and it actually creates more issues for them,
oh,
right?
goodness. Yeah.
So you have to be very, very cautious with that. And I mean, I can't speak for everybody else who has a autistic kid. I can only speak for my own and what it is that I want to do, or my ex-wife and I want to do for our son. And it's even in here in Canada, it can be very, very trying, especially when you go to a doctor and they're like, well, has he had this vaccine, that vaccine? And we're like, nope. And they're like, they look at you and just kind of judge you right away,
Oh
right?
yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, well, don't you know the benefits of this? Thank you very much, doctor. This is what we're here for. Deal with that,
Yeah.
right? So,
When I first got my cancer diagnosis, I went to the oncologist, and he's like going,
mm,
"Did you get your COVID? This is in 2022 because you got your
mm,
COVID vaccine?" I go, "No."
mm,
And he
no,
says, "Well, I recommend you getting them." It's like, okay,
recommend away.
recommend whatever you want. And it's
Yeah,
like, I never wore a mask if I didn't have to,
yeah,
in certain stores, and I
yeah,
was just fine. And you
yeah,
get chemo and radiation. It's like, I mean, it's one
yeah,
of those things that as long as you kind of like help stroke your immune system a little
yeah,
bit,
yeah,
especially during that situation,
yeah.
I mean, you just have to understand that your body knows how to do things.
It does.
We
Yeah.
just don't need all the chemicals.
We don't. And I mean, they're showing so many things now. I mean, without making this into like a whole vaccine type topic, but it's, so much information's coming out now from those vaccines and the detrimental health aspects to that too, right? And again, it's not being talked about so much in mainstream media. And so that makes it frustrating too, because it's like, well, you always talked about, even during the back in the day, it's like, the science.
Yeah.
Here's the
No,
science. This is what we're
they're
showing now after 5 years of having information provided to us. This is what's actually happening. And thank you all for being part of our guinea pig subject group,
Our
right?
big
So,
Tuskegee experiment. Yeah,
yes,
it's
yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
terrible,
yeah.
Boy, me.
So,
terrible, terrible.
that was such a terrible time in our world.
It really was.
It's
Yeah.
it's was such a terrible time, and that's again going back to the beginning of our conversation. It was very much the I guess the nail in the coffin that really started to separate people, and you don't see a lot of people joining back up with friends and family that they had disagreements
I know.
with during that time.
No.
So it just
But
divided so much.
COVID really did a lot of damage our societal, just getting along with family. I mean, heck, they
Hmm.
even told you if your family is not gone down the same path as you had as far as
Yeah,
the COVID thing goes. You just don't have anything to do with them. And
yeah.
now it's even I heard some people on, I think it was CNN or MSNBC say, if you've got a family member back last year at Thanksgiving, you got a family member that's voting for Trump, then you
Ugh,
need to just not invite them to the festivities or Christmas or anything. I'm like going, you've got to be out of your mind.
they are out of their mind, completely out of their mind, right?
Yeah.
Like, how does that have to do with anything? And up here in Canada, they actually had like a 1-800 squeal line for
I know.
friends and neighbors and all that kind of stuff, and people would call it. So I mean, we went to my ex-brother-in-law and his family's place for Christmas one year. We literally had to go and hide our vehicle in the garage because neighbors would potentially
Gosh.
call for us and cops would come to the door and they would arrest you and or give you tickets and all this kind of stuff, right? And
Kamala
it was
Harris's
crazy.
running mate, Tim Walz, when he's governor of Minnesota, he did the same thing. He
Yeah,
had a number that people could call. And it's
it's
like,
ridiculous. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
nobody's business. I mean,
Well, that's just it. And I mean, like we didn't care. Um, my safety background, I used to fit test people. I fit test nurses. I test healthcare professionals, people in industry. So I'm talking about like, half mask respirators or full mask respirators or even the N95s, right? So when you're doing an actual fit test, you're making sure that the solution that you're using for it doesn't actually seep into any cracks that the mask may have. Everything that they told us just completely contradicted what my training was. It's okay for us to wear the doctor's mask. You'll be fine.
oh,
No, you
forget
won't.
it.
No, you won't.
No.
And
I
then
don't
you're not
care
even
how
talking
many of them
about
you put on.
no.
No.
I don't. It doesn't matter. And the other aspect of that, which was really interesting too, is that you'd see people go into the grocery stores with their stupid mask on, and then they come out of the grocery store, palm the front of their mask, take it off, put it in their pocket, go into another store, take that same mask and put that same mask on. Well, if that was contaminated, you've just contaminated this new store.
Sure,
Not
sure.
only that, doesn't matter. You grab with the palm of your hand. Like this is everything that they were talking about was so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And yet you'd have a discussion with people about this and they're like, well, this is what they're saying. This is how we protect ourselves. No, it's not, right?
I had somebody say, well, it couldn't hurt. What
Yes.
do you mean it couldn't hurt? Yeah, but that was the mindset.
Oh, it
Well,
totally was.
what
Yeah.
the experts had to say, and the experts turned out to be not so experty. Uh,
Well, this is just it. I mean,
No, they were not.
they were going off of a bigger, in my opinion, a bigger plan, a bigger agenda of what, whoever whoever decided to do all this.
yeah,
And they didn't have the proper information,
no,
but yet they
absolutely.
were put in the spotlight as being, this is what you need to say. So a
Yeah,
lot of the people that we had as public health officials here are fired now. Like they're just gone. They were used as a scapegoat and turf type thing, right, for what they said. And in some ways, I feel bad for them because they were put into that position. But the other aspect is like maybe I don't feel bad for them because they totally believed in that position as well and they didn't question anything. And as
Yeah.
a
yeah.
scientist, aren't you supposed to question things,
That's what
That's
the
the basis of
science is.
science, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
right? So it's yeah, it was such an interesting time and such a devastating time to so many people too, right? So, but
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
We're gonna have to call it a day,
Oh
I think.
gosh, I could talk with
But
you guys all day.
it
Yeah.
was it was fantastic having you. We're going to actually make a bumper for when you're on now because I'm going to go to AI and I'm going to make something for you because this is fantastic. I
Yeah,
really
you will be unfortunately asked back because all of our female guests have been great, and most of our male guests have been, well, not great. We've had one, and now you've
said out loud.
surpassed
They
that
might be
one.
listening.
Oh, good.
So
So the bar was set really low for me. Thank you. Yeah.
no, we had one that was decent, and then we had
Okay.
some. Oh Lord, we had some early on that was like, okay, they should be.
Yeah.
So
Makes
Corey,
it.
how would people get a hold of you if they wanted to use your services and everything?
Yeah, yeah. So if you want to connect with me for my Wolverine Mountain Media business, you just go to Wolverine Mountain Media.com and all my contact information and my social media information is on there as well. Feel free to connect with me and we can have a discussion on how I can help you guys out if you're interested in you're a voice talent or looking to become a voice talent and want to learn more about that with the VO Academy, which Richard's part of as well. Yeah, you just go to the VO Academy. .weebly.com/, and then you can take a look at all the information that we have there, or simply send me off a social media message on any platform. I'm on everything, so I'm not hard to get a hold of. And
Cory, not Corey.
correct,
I made
that's
that
right.
mistake earlier
That's
today.
all right. Many people do. I just let it slide. It's not a big deal. So yeah, it's
Hard to
good.
find you when you misspell it, though.
Yeah,
So,
that's
Yeah.
true. That's true. Exactly. Exactly. So, but yeah,
um,
no, definitely connect with me, and we can have a chat, and I can see how I can help you.
fantastic. We will definitely have you back on again. I
Awesome.
think we're going to
Appreciate
skip
that.
the rest of the story this week just because we're so over time. But it's
When you, yeah,
the
we were saying something about, yeah, no, way over.
whole thing's a palate cleanser, so we don't need one this week.
Yeah.
Well, we hope you were somewhat informed and had fun like we did. Don't forget you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon Smart Speaker, Rumble, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And you'll find us every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Oracle Talk Radio Network.com. Enjoy us on your drive home. You can get the apps for Apple and Android, or you know what? Just go to our good old website at stayoffmylawn.us for all our past and present episodes.
Should have had the .us thing ready to go. I didn't have it.
We didn't talk about it, so I'm assuming you didn't. See,
I know,
see what
I
I get
did.
for assuming? I was right, though.
Wait a minute. Here it is. Here it is. There we go. Okay. All right. Anyway, we'll see you next week, folks.
Toodles. Thanks again for listening, folks. We really appreciate you.